The cosmos trembled as a ripple of unfathomable energy surged through the infinite expanse of the multiverse, a disturbance so profound that even the gods of destruction paused in their duties, their brows furrowing with unease. Far beyond the mortal realms, in the opulent palace of the Omni-King, Zeno, the supreme ruler of all existence, sat upon his crystalline throne, his childlike eyes wide with curiosity. Beside him, his attendant, the Grand Priest, observed the anomaly with a measured gaze, though a flicker of concern betrayed his usual composure. "Something interesting is happening," Zeno chirped, swinging his legs idly. "Should we see what it is?" The Grand Priest nodded, though his mind raced with possibilities, none of them reassuring. Meanwhile, on Earth, the sun blazed overhead as Goku stood atop the rocky cliffs of the hyperbolic time chamber, his muscles taut, his breath steady. The training grounds bore the scars of countless battles, craters from energy blasts, fissures from sheer physical force, and the air still crackled with residual ki from his latest session. He wiped sweat from his brow, his black hair clinging to his forehead. "Man, I pushed myself hard this time," he muttered, grinning. "But I gotta get even stronger." His thoughts drifted to the recent threats that had tested his limits: Jiren, Moro, even the androids from alternate timelines. Each battle had honed his skills, but deep down, he knew something greater loomed on the horizon. Vegeta landed beside him with a burst of purple energy, his arms crossed, his usual scowl in place. "You're wasting time congratulating yourself, Kakarot. If you're done lazing around, we should spar." His crimson eyes gleamed with competitive fire. Goku chuckled, rolling his shoulders. "All right, but don't cry when I knock you into next week." In an instant, the two scions vanished, reappearing midair as their fists collided with a shockwave that shattered the surrounding rocks. Goku twisted, driving a knee toward Vegeta's ribs, but the prince pivoted, catching the blow with his forearm before retaliating with a spinning kick that sent Goku skidding back. The fight escalated rapidly, Goku's Ultra Instinct flared to life, his movements becoming fluid, instinctive, as if his body operated independently of his mind. Vegeta countered with Ultra Ego, his power swelling with each strike he took, his grin widening as the pain fueled him. Their auras clashed, golden and violet light spiraling into the sky. Goku feinted left, then vanished, reappearing behind Vegeta with a devastating chop aimed at his neck. Vegeta barely dodged, countering with a point-blank Gallic gun that forced Goku to block, his arms crossed as the energy beam carved a trench into the ground beneath him. As the dust settled, both warriors panted, their bodies thrumming with exhaustion and exhilaration. "Not bad," Vegeta admitted grudgingly. "But you still rely too much on instinct. Strategy wins battles, Kakarot." Goku grinned. "Maybe, but instincts kept me alive this long." Their banter was cut short as the sky above them split open, a swirling vortex of cosmic energy tearing through reality. From within the rift, a figure descended, small, unassuming, yet radiating an aura so vast it dwarfed even their combined power. Goku's eyes widened. "Zeno? What's he doing here?" The Omni-King floated down, his expression unreadable. Behind him, the Grand Priest followed, his usual serene smile tinged with something darker. "Hello, Son Goku." Zeno waved cheerfully. "We have a problem. A really, really big one." Goku exchanged a glance with Vegeta before stepping forward. What kind of problem?" The Grand Priest's voice was calm, but his words sent a chill through them. "A being older than time itself has awakened. One even the Omni-King cannot erase." Before Goku could respond, the ground beneath them trembled violently, the very fabric of reality warping as a shadow stretched across the sky, a presence so ancient, so malevolent, that even the gods recoiled. Somewhere in the void between dimensions, something stirred, its hunger insatiable, its power unmatched. And as Goku clenched his fists, his heart pounding with both fear and excitement, he realized this was a battle unlike any other. One that would demand more than strength, it would demand sacrifice. Unbeknownst to him, the threads of fate were weaving a path toward an unthinkable union. One that would shake the foundations of existence itself. Goku fuses with Omni-King. Dragon Ball's Wildest Twist, Part 2. The fusion's golden light faded, leaving behind a figure unlike anything the universe had ever seen. Goku and the Omni-King were now one, an entity radiating boundless power, their very presence warping reality around them. The others could only stare in awe and terror. Vegeta's fists clenched, his pride clashing with the sheer impossibility before him. "Kakarot, what have you done?" he muttered, his voice barely above a growl. Whis' usual calm had shattered, his staff trembling in his grip. This shouldn't be possible," he admitted, his eyes wide. The Omni-King's power was absolute. Merging with a mortal, even one like Goku, should have torn reality apart. Beerus, for once, looked genuinely afraid. If this fusion goes wrong, we won't just lose a planet or a universe. Everything could be erased. The fused being, neither Goku nor Xeno, but something entirely new, tilted their head, studying their hands with childlike curiosity. Huh. This feels weird, they said, their voice an eerie blend of Goku's warmth and Xeno's playful detachment. Then, without warning, their eyes snapped toward the sky. Oh. There's something coming. A rift tore open above them, bleeding crimson energy. From it emerged a figure clad in jagged armor, his presence smothering the air like a black hole. His grin was all teeth, his eyes gleaming with malice. Well, he purred. I didn't expect this when I came to wipe out the Omni-King. But a fusion? Even better. Vegeta stepped forward, his aura flaring. Who the hell are you? The stranger chuckled, cracking his knuckles. Call me Vex, the devourer of gods. I've spent eons hunting down cosmic rulers, and Xeno was next on my list. But now I get to erase both of you at once. The fused being frowned. You're mean. We don't like you. Their voice was innocent, but their power spiked, shaking the ground beneath them. Vex lunged first, his fist carving through space itself. The fusion dodged, but the shockwave flattened mountains miles away. Before Vex could strike again, Vegeta blasted him with a point-blank final flash, the beam searing across the battlefield. Vex staggered, then laughed, flexing as the energy dissipated. Cute. But I've eaten stars hotter than that. Gohan and Piccolo moved in tandem, Gohan darting in with a flurry of punches while Piccolo extended his arms, wrapping Vex in a crushing grip. Now, Piccolo roared. The fusion nodded, raising a hand. A sphere of golden and purple energy formed, swirling with the combined might of Ultra Instinct and the Omni-King's erasure power. Vex's eyes widened, for the first time, fear flickered across his face. He tore free from Piccolo's hold, but it was too late. The fusion unleashed the blast, the energy swallowing Vex whole. Silence. Then, from the smoke, Vex emerged, his armor cracked but his grin unbroken. Almost got me, he taunted. But you're still just a toddler playing with power you don't understand. Whis' voice cut through the tension. He's drawing energy from the rift. It's healing him. Beerus snarled. Then we close it. He shot forward, his destruction energy lashing out, but Vex intercepted him with a kick that sent the god crashing through a mountain range. The fusion's expression darkened. You hurt our friend. Their aura exploded, the sheer force of it bending light. Vex barely had time to react before they vanished, reappearing behind him with a punch that shattered dimensions. Vex hurtled through the sky, the fusion giving chase in a blur of motion. But as they fought, something was wrong. The fusion's movements grew erratic, their power fluctuating wildly. Vegeta noticed first. They're unstable, he shouted. If this keeps up, they'll... A scream cut him off. The fusion convulsed, their body flickering between Goku and Xeno before snapping back together. Vex seized the opening, driving a fist through their chest. The others cried out, but no blood spilled. Instead, cracks of light spiderwebbed across the fusion's form. Vex laughed. Looks like you're falling apart. The fusion gasped, clutching their head. No. We can't. Hold on. Their voice fractured, Goku's and Xeno's tones splitting apart. Whis' staff glowed as he rushed forward. We need to separate them now or the backlash will destroy us all. Vex raised his hands, dark energy gathering. Oh, I'll help with that, by wiping you all out first. The battlefield erupted into chaos. Gohan and Piccolo launched a desperate assault, buying time. Vegeta, teeth gritted, powered up beyond his limits, his aura turning crimson. I won't let you take Kakarot from this fight, he roared, tackling Vex mid-charge. Meanwhile, Whis and Beerus worked frantically, their combined godly energy weaving around the flickering fusion. Just a little longer, Whis urged, though his voice wavered with exhaustion. The fusion's eyes met Vegeta's as he grappled with Vex. In that instant, Vegeta saw it, Goku's determination, Xeno's innocence, and something else. Trust. Then the world went white. When the light faded, Goku and Xeno stood apart once more, both panting, drained. Vex, however, was already rising, his wounds sealing shut. Pathetic, he spat. But then Xeno, tiny and trembling, pointed at him. You're bad, he whimpered. And for the first time, the Omni-King looked truly angry. Goku, despite his exhaustion, smirked. Hey! Now you've done it. Vex hesitated, just as the sky split open again. But this time, it wasn't him controlling the rift. Something bigger was coming. And it was hungry. The cosmos trembled as Goku and Omni-King's fusion radiated an aura of unimaginable power, their combined form crackling with energy that warped reality itself. The battlefield, already scarred from their earlier clashes, seemed to hold its breath as the dust settled. But before the newly fused warrior could even test their limits, a rift tore open in the fabric of space, and from it emerged a figure draped in tattered robes, his crimson eyes burning with a mix of amusement and menace. Xeno's power, fused with a Saiyan? That's a recipe for chaos, the stranger mused, his voice smooth but laced with danger. His presence alone sent shockwaves through the air, forcing even Goku Omni to take a step back. The others, Vegeta, Beerus, Whis, tensed, their instincts screaming that this newcomer was no ordinary threat. Vegeta's fists clenched. "Who the hell are you?" The man smirked, rolling his shoulders as his robes dissolved into a sleek, armored bodysuit. "Name's Cairo. And I've been waiting a long time for this." His energy flared, a deep violet aura erupting around him, dense enough to distort gravity itself. The ground beneath him cracked, and the sky darkened as if the universe recoiled from his power. Goku Omni narrowed their eyes, sensing something eerily familiar in Cairo's ki. "You're not from this timeline." Cairo chuckled. "Sharp. I'm what you'd call a remnant. A survivor of a timeline Xeno erased. And I've spent centuries honing my strength, waiting for the chance to take my revenge." His gaze locked onto the fused being. "And now, with you two merged, I finally have the perfect opponent to test my limits, and erase the Omni-King's legacy for good." Without warning, Cairo vanished, reappearing in front of Goku Omni with a fist already mid-swing. The punch connected with a shockwave that sent the fused warriors skidding back, their feet carving trenches into the earth. Goku Omni barely had time to recover before Cairo was upon them again, his movements a blur of violet energy, each strike carrying the weight of a collapsing star. Vegeta roared, launching himself at Cairo with a blinding burst of speed. "You're not fighting them alone." His fist crackled with blue energy, but Cairo twisted midair, catching Vegeta's wrist and flipping him over his shoulder before slamming him into the ground with enough force to crater the planet's crust. Whis frowned, his staff twirling as he stepped forward. "This one is dangerous. His energy is unstable, like a black hole given form." Beerus cracked his knuckles. "Then we handle him together." He lunged, divine energy surging as he aimed a Hakai blast at Cairo's chest. But Cairo merely smirked, his hand flashing out to intercept the attack. To everyone's shock, the Hakai dissolved in his grip, absorbed into his own aura. "God of destruction energy?" "Cute," Cairo taunted before countering with a whip-like kick that sent Beerus hurtling through a mountain range. Goku Omni steadied themselves, their dual voices harmonizing. "He's absorbing energy. We need to hit him faster than he can adapt." They surged forward, their body igniting with golden and silver light, fists moving at speeds that shattered sound barriers. Cairo met them blow for blow, their clashes sending shockwaves that peeled back the landscape. For a moment, it seemed like an even match, until Cairo's grin widened. "You're good. But I've been studying scions for centuries." His fist suddenly glowed with a familiar energy, a Kamehameha, but twisted, corrupted into a spiraling violet beam. Goku Omni barely dodged, the attack grazing their shoulder and leaving a searing wound that refused to heal. "He's copying our techniques?" Cairo laughed. "Not just copying. Improving." He raised both hands, and to the horror of the others, a spirit bomb formed, but instead of pure energy, it pulsed with dark, jagged tendrils. Vegeta, hauling himself from the rubble, spat blood. "This bastard's playing with us." His pride burned at the humiliation, but more than that, he recognized something in Cairo's fighting style. The way he moved, the way he adapted. It was like facing a twisted reflection of himself. Whis' eyes narrowed. He's not just a survivor of a erased timeline. He's something worse, a being who's absorbed the remnants of erased warriors. Their techniques, their memories, their hatred. Cairo's grin turned feral. "Bingo. And now, I'll add your power to my collection." He hurled the corrupted spirit bomb, the attack swelling to apocalyptic proportions. Goku Omni braced, their arms crossed as they summoned a barrier. The impact was cataclysmic, the explosion swallowing the battlefield whole. When the dust cleared, cracks spiderwebbed through reality itself, revealing glimpses of other timelines. And standing amidst the chaos, Cairo stood triumphant, until a voice echoed from behind him. "You talk too much." A blade of pure energy sliced through Cairo's back, wielded by none other than future Trunks, his eyes blazing with determination. Cairo staggered, his regeneration already stitching the wound, but the surprise assault had cost him his momentum. Trunks panted, his sword humming with energy. "Sorry I'm late. Had to borrow a time machine." Goku Omni grinned. "Trunks. Now we've got a real fight." Cairo wiped blood from his lip, his amusement returning. "Another relic from a dead timeline? Perfect." His body began to shift, his aura flaring as he tapped into yet another stolen power, this time, one eerily similar to Trunks' own. The battlefield was set. The stakes had never been higher. And as Cairo unleashed his next assault, the heroes realized one terrifying truth: this wasn't just a battle for survival. It was a war against the echoes of every warrior the Omni-King had ever erased. And if they lost, their very existence would be rewritten. The battlefield trembled as Goku and the Omni-King, now fused into a single, unimaginably powerful entity, stood before the army of gods that had once served Xeno. The air crackled with energy, the sheer pressure of their combined aura forcing even the mightiest deities to their knees. But something was wrong, Goku could feel it. The fusion wasn't just a union of strength, it was a merging of minds, and within the depths of the Omni-King's consciousness, Goku glimpsed something terrifying. A shadow lurked there, something ancient and malevolent, coiled around Xeno's true will like a serpent. "You're not just Xeno," Goku muttered, his voice echoing with the Omni-King's resonance. "There's something else inside you." The fused being's golden eyes flickered, momentarily flashing a sickly violet before returning to normal. Whis and the other angels exchanged uneasy glances. They had sensed it too. Then, with a sudden, gut-wrenching lurch, the fusion faltered. A searing pain ripped through Goku's body as the Omni-King's form twisted, his once regal features contorting into something monstrous. "Foolish mortal," the voice that emerged was no longer Xeno's, it was deeper, dripping with malice. "Did you truly believe you could contain me?" The revelation struck like a hammer blow. The Omni-King hadn't been in control for centuries. An ancient entity, a primordial force of destruction known as the Void King, had been puppeteering him from the shadows, biding its time. And now, with Goku's power amplifying its own, it saw its chance to break free completely. The battlefield erupted as the Void King unleashed his true power. Reality itself warped, space fracturing like glass as tendrils of darkness lashed out, swallowing entire dimensions. The gods, caught off guard, were obliterated in an instant, their screams silenced before they could even react. Whis barely managed to erect a barrier, shielding what remained of their forces. "We can't fight this," Beerus roared, his usual arrogance replaced by raw terror. "That thing, it's beyond us." Goku gritted his teeth, forcing himself to stand despite the agony racking his body. The fusion was unraveling, the Void King's influence poisoning their shared mind. But he wasn't done yet. If this thing fed on power, then maybe, just maybe, he could turn that against it. "Whis," he shouted. "Get everyone out of here. Now." Whis hesitated, but the desperation in Goku's eyes convinced him. With a sweep of his staff, he teleported the survivors away, leaving Goku alone against the abomination. The Void King laughed, its voice a chorus of nightmares. "Sacrificing yourself? How quaint. But your energy will only make me stronger." Goku smirked, blood trickling from his lips. "Yeah? Then let's see how much you can handle." With a roar, he unleashed every ounce of his power, not in an attack, but in an uncontrolled explosion of energy. The Void King's eyes widened as the sheer force of it destabilized his form, the darkness writhing as it struggled to contain the influx. But it wasn't enough. The Void King began to adapt, his form solidifying, his laughter growing louder. Goku's vision blurred, he was running out of time. Then, from the void, a voice echoed in his mind. "You are not alone." A surge of warmth flooded through him. The spirits of fallen warriors, Vegeta, Frieza, even Jiren, their energy merged with his, lending him their strength. The Void King recoiled as Goku's body blazed with a light that pierced the darkness. "This ends now," Goku growled, his fist igniting with the combined might of every warrior who had ever fought beside him. The final clash shook the cosmos. The Void King screamed as the light tore through him, his form dissolving into nothingness. But as the darkness faded, so too did the fusion. Goku collapsed, his body broken, the Omni-King's true form, now freed from the Void King's influence, hovering weakly beside him. Xeno's eyes, once empty, now held sorrow. "I remember," he whispered. Then, with a soft glow, he vanished, leaving Goku alone in the ruins of reality. The cost had been too high. The gods were gone. The universe was in shambles. And as Whis returned, his expression grim, Goku realized the fight wasn't over. The Void King had been a pawn too. Something worse was coming. And this time, they might not be strong enough to stop it. The universe trembled as Goku and the Omni-King's fusion reached its zenith, their combined aura erupting in a kaleidoscope of cosmic energy that warped reality itself. The battlefield, what remained of it, was a shattered wasteland, the very fabric of spacetime fraying under the strain of their power. Across the ruins, the remaining warriors of Universe 7 staggered to their feet, eyes wide with disbelief. Vegeta wiped blood from his lip, his scowl deepening as he gauged the impossible spectacle before them. Kakarot. What the hell have you done now? Whis' usual calm demeanor had shattered into urgency. This is unprecedented. The fusion of a mortal and a divine being of that magnitude, it could destabilize the multiverse if left unchecked. Beerus, for once, looked genuinely rattled, his claws flexing. We don't have time to gawk. That thing Zeno was fighting, it's still out there. And now it's pissed. As if summoned by his words, the horizon split open, a yawning abyss vomiting forth the entity that had driven even the Omni-King to desperation. It was a writhing mass of anti-existence, a being of pure negation that consumed light, sound, and thought itself. The ground beneath it didn't crumble, it simply ceased to be, erased from history. Goku, no, the fusion, turned toward it, their shared voice resonating with an eerie duality. We can feel it. This thing doesn't just destroy. It unmakes. Vegeta snarled, power flaring around him. Then we unmake it first. He shot forward, a streak of violet energy, but the creature didn't even react. A tendril of void lashed out, and Vegeta's attack dissolved mid-strike, his body hurled back like a ragdoll. Gohan barely caught him, skidding across the broken earth. It's adapting, Piccolo growled, his arms crossed as he analyzed the foe. Every technique we throw at it, it learns. We need something it can't predict. Frieza, of all people, chuckled, his golden form flickering with strain. Predictability is the least of our concerns. Look at the sky. Above them, the stars were winking out one by one, entire galaxies swallowed by the spreading darkness. If we don't end this soon, there won't be a universe left to save. The fused being, Goku and Zeno shared consciousness, clenched their fists, their body thrumming with unstable power. We'll hold it off. The rest of you, find a way to hurt it. Anything. With that, they lunged into the fray, their movements a blur of reality-rending force. Each strike they landed forced the entity back, but the cost was evident. With every clash, cracks spiderwebbed across their fused form, their energy bleeding into the void. Meanwhile, the others scrambled. Bulma's voice crackled over the comms, her usual snark replaced by raw panic. I've been scanning that thing's energy signature. It's not just absorbing attacks, it's feeding on the concept of opposition. The more you fight it, the stronger it gets. Krillin paled. So what do? Just let it kill us? No, Whis interjected, his staff glowing as he traced sigils in the air. We need to attack its existence paradoxically. It thrives on conflict, so we must strike without intent to harm. Android 17 raised an eyebrow. That makes zero sense. Precisely, Whis replied. And that's our only chance. Vegeta wiped his mouth again, his eyes locked on the battle ahead. TCH. Fine. But if we're going to pull off some suicidal plan, we're doing it my way. He turned to Gohan. You and Piccolo, use the Mekanko-Sappo. But don't aim to kill. Aim to. I don't know, sing it a lullaby or whatever Whis is babbling about. Gohan nodded, already charging his energy alongside Piccolo. As the fused Goku Zeno grappled with the entity, their punches tearing holes in dimensions, the others moved. Frieza, despite his sneer, unleashed a barrage of death beams, not at the creature, but at the space around it, distorting its perception. Android 17 and 18 darted in, their infinite energy reactors pulsing as they disrupted the void's edges with rapid, non-lethal strikes. Even Broly, his usual rage tempered by sheer desperation, roared as he channeled his power into a colossal energy sphere, not to destroy, but to contain. And then, the moment came. Gohan and Piccolo's Mekanko-Sappo lanced forward, a spiraling beam of paradoxical energy. The entity recoiled, its form shuddering as the attack struck, not with violence, but with the sheer impossibility of its own logic being turned against it. The fused being seized the opening, their hands blazing with a final, desperate technique. Now. The resulting explosion wasn't just light, it was the sound of reality itself screaming. When the dust cleared, the entity was gone. But so was the fusion, Goku and Zeno separating in a burst of exhausted energy. The sky, however, was still dark. The stars weren't returning. Beerus's ears flattened. It's not over. Whis' voice was grim. No. We've only wounded it. And now? It's evolving. From the abyss, something new emerged, something worse. And the clock was still ticking. The universe trembled as Goku and Omni-King Xeno's fusion reached its zenith, their combined aura erupting in a kaleidoscope of cosmic energy that warped reality itself. The battlefield, already scarred by their earlier clashes, now groaned under the weight of their unleashed power. Across the fractured terrain, Beerus and Whis stood frozen in awe, their divine instinct screaming at them to retreat even as their pride held them in place. Jiren, his body battered but his will unbroken, clenched his fists, his eyes narrowing at the impossible sight before him. This power. It defies all logic, he muttered, his voice barely audible over the roaring energy storms. Goku Xeno's voice echoed like thunder, layered with both Goku's fiery determination and Xeno's playful, childlike cadence. Hee, this feels amazing. Let's see what we can really do. With a casual flick of his wrist, space itself distorted, sending a shockwave rippling outward. Jiren barely had time to react, he crossed his arms in a desperate guard, but the force launched him through a mountain, the rock vaporizing on impact. Before he could recover, Goku Xeno blurred forward, appearing above him mid-descent, his foot slamming downward like a meteor. Jiren twisted mid-air, barely dodging, but the impact cratered the earth for miles, sending shockwaves that toppled distant ruins. Whis' staff glowed as he erected a barrier, shielding himself and Beerus. This is beyond anything we've witnessed, Whis murmured, his usual composure fraying. Beerus gritted his teeth. If they keep this up, the universe won't survive the hour. Jiren wasn't done yet. His body flared crimson as he tapped into his limit breaker form, his muscles swelling with raw power. He rocketed upward, meeting Goku Xeno midair with a devastating punch. The collision sent shockwaves in all directions, the sheer force distorting gravity itself. Goku Xeno grinned, effortlessly parrying Jiren's follow-up strikes, each counter landing with precision. You're strong, but we're stronger. He taunted, before vanishing and reappearing behind Jiren, delivering a spinning kick that sent the Pride Trooper hurtling into the ground. But Jiren wasn't one to stay down. Pushing through the pain, he erupted from the rubble, his aura burning hotter than ever. Strength isn't just power, it's resolve, he roared, launching a barrage of energy blasts. Goku Xeno weaved through them effortlessly, but Jiren had anticipated that. His real attack came from below, where he'd secretly charged a massive ki wave. The explosion engulfed Goku Xeno, the resulting inferno lighting up the sky. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, from the smoke, Goku Xeno emerged unscathed, dusting off his shoulder. Nice trick. But you'll have to do better than that. With a sudden burst of speed, he closed the distance, fists a blur. Jiren blocked frantically, but the sheer speed overwhelmed him. A brutal uppercut sent him skyward, followed by a teleporting knee to his spine that cratered him back into the earth. Meanwhile, Beerus and Whis exchanged glances. We can't just watch, Beerus growled. Whis nodded. Agreed. But we must be careful, one misstep, and we risk annihilation. Channeling his divine energy, Beerus unleashed his full power, his purple aura flaring violently. Let's see how they handle a god of destruction. He shot forward, his claws slashing at Goku Xeno, who effortlessly dodged, countering with a palm strike that sent Beerus skidding back. Whis joined the fray, his staff twirling as he aimed precise strikes at pressure points, but Goku Xeno anticipated every move, flipping over Whis' swing and kicking him away. The battle became a whirlwind of destruction. Energy blasts lit up the sky, shockwaves sundered the earth, and the very fabric of space strained under their might. Jiren, Beerus, and Whis fought in perfect sync, their combined assaults forcing Goku Xeno to finally take a step back. Not bad, he laughed, his eyes gleaming with excitement. But let's get serious. His body erupted in a blinding light as his power surged even higher, his hair shifting between gold and silver, his aura pulsing with unfathomable energy. The ground beneath him disintegrated, the sheer pressure of his power creating a vortex of destruction. Jiren, bleeding but unbroken, steadied himself. This is it, our last chance, he panted. Beerus smirked. Then let's make it count. Whis raised his staff, channeling his angelic energy. On my mark. The trio lunged as one, Jiren with a final, desperate punch infused with all his remaining strength, Beerus with a cataclysmic sphere of destruction energy, and Whis with a temporal strike aimed at freezing Goku Xeno's movements. The clash was apocalyptic, the shockwave tearing across dimensions. For a heartbeat, it seemed like they might prevail, then Goku Xeno's laughter cut through the chaos. Too slow. In an instant, he shattered Whis' time lock, swatted away Beerus' attack, and caught Jiren's fist in his palm. With a twist, he hurled Jiren into the others, the impact sending them tumbling like ragdolls. Goku Xeno floated above them, his power radiating like a supernova. That was fun. But it's over now. As he raised his hand, energy gathering for a final, universe-ending strike, a voice suddenly cut through the tension. Wait. It was Goku's voice, struggling to the surface. Xeno's influence wavered, just for a second, but it was enough. The fusion flickered, their forms destabilizing. No. We were having fun. Xeno's voice protested, but Goku's will fought back. Not like this. The fusion began to unravel, the energy spiraling out of control. The battlefield trembled as the two beings separated, Goku collapsing to his knees, drained, while Xeno hovered, pouting. Aw, it's over already? Silence fell. The dust settled. And in that moment, the survivors realized, they had survived the impossible. But at what cost? The universe itself had been pushed to the brink, and the scars of this battle would linger forever. As the screen faded to black, one question remained: what came next? The battlefield trembled as Goku and Omni-King Xeno's fused form hovered above the shattered remains of the arena, their combined aura crackling with unimaginable power. The air itself seemed to warp around them, reality struggling to contain their presence. Below, Vegeta, Beerus, and the remaining warriors panted heavily, their bodies battered from the previous clashes. Vegeta wiped blood from his lip, his eyes narrowing at the impossible sight above. Kakarot. What the hell have you done now? Goku Xeno's voice echoed, a strange harmony of Goku's determination and Xeno's eerie, childlike curiosity. This feels fun. The fused being clenched a fist, and space itself fractured around it, sending shockwaves that sent the others skidding backward. Beerus gritted his teeth, his divine energy flickering. Even I can't keep up with this. Then, with a laugh, Goku Xeno vanished. A fist crashed into Vegeta's gut before he could react, launching him through 3 mountains in the distance. Whis barely had time to raise his staff before a kick sent him spiraling into the ground, carving a canyon in his wake. The others barely had time to blink, every counter was useless, every defense shattered in an instant. But then, as Goku Xeno reared back for another strike, a tremor ran through its form. The fusion flickered, a ripple of instability. Goku's voice strained through. Hey. Xeno. We gotta focus. The Omni-King's giggle was light, unconcerned. But this is fun. Let's play more. That split-second hesitation was all Vegeta needed. Bursting from the rubble, his body wreathed in blue fire, he roared, now. Beerus and Whis moved in unison. Beerus hurled a sphere of destruction, Whis twisted time itself to slow the fused being's movements. The attack connected, engulfing Goku Xeno in a cataclysmic explosion. For a breath, it seemed to work. Then, from the smoke, a hand emerged, swatting the energy aside like a bothersome fly. Goku Xeno grinned, unharmed. That tickled. But the assault had bought them a moment. Goku's consciousness surged within the fusion, his will clashing against Xeno's whimsy. Listen. We can't keep doing this. Everyone's gonna get hurt. Xeno's voice pouted. But I wanna play. The internal struggle manifested physically, the fusion's form wavered, its power fluctuating wildly. Vegeta saw it. His fists tightened. Kakarot. Fight it. He rocketed forward, ignoring the agony in his limbs, his aura blazing hotter than ever. Goku Xeno turned, amused, but this time, Vegeta wasn't aiming to strike. At the last second, he veered, slamming his palm against the fused being's chest. Remember who you are. A shockwave of emotion and energy erupted. Goku's face twisted in recognition, his memories flooding back, his friends, his family, the battles he'd fought not for power, but for them. The fusion's glow intensified, then suddenly split, light ripped apart as Goku and Xeno separated, both tumbling to the ground. Goku gasped, his body screaming in protest, but he was himself again. Xeno blinked, giggling. That was fun. Let's do it again. Beerus immediately stepped between them, his voice uncharacteristically serious. No. That's enough. The battlefield fell silent, the dust settling. The others staggered to their feet, relief and exhaustion mingling. Goku groaned, forcing himself upright. Man. That was too close. Vegeta scoffed, but there was no bite to it. Idiot. You almost destroyed everything. But the victory was fragile. In the distance, the sky darkened, a new presence loomed, something even more ancient stirring. Whis' eyes widened. Oh dear. Goku turned, sensing it too. The fight wasn't over. Not yet. Word count, 2000. The universe trembled in the wake of Goku's unprecedented fusion with the Omni-King. The sheer magnitude of their combined power had shattered celestial barriers, leaving behind a fractured cosmos where the laws of reality seemed to bend and warp. As the dust settled, the Z-fighters stood amidst the ruins of the battlefield, their bodies aching, their spirits frayed. Vegeta, his armor cracked and his breath ragged, clenched his fists, his pride warring with the gnawing unease in his gut. "This isn't over," he muttered, his eyes scanning the unstable horizon. Whis, usually composed, now wore a rare frown as he observed the chaotic energy signatures flickering across the cosmos. "The fusion was necessary to stop Xeno's rampage," he said, "but the backlash has destabilized the multiverse. Rifts are forming, tears in dimensions that shouldn't exist." Beerus, for once, had no sarcastic remark, his usual laziness replaced by genuine concern. "If those rifts aren't sealed, everything will collapse into nothingness." Before they could formulate a plan, the ground beneath them erupted, and a figure cloaked in swirling shadows emerged. Its form shifted like liquid darkness, its eyes burning with a malevolent light. "Fools," it hissed, its voice echoing from every direction. "You sought to control power beyond your comprehension, and now you've invited annihilation." Gohan, his muscles screaming from exhaustion, barely managed to raise his guard as the creature lunged at him. The attack was blindingly fast, a clawed hand slashing toward his throat, only for Piccolo to intercept, his arm taking the brunt of the strike before he retaliated with a point-blank energy blast. The explosion sent the creature reeling, but it reformed instantly, unharmed. Vegeta didn't hesitate. "Dirty fireworks won't work," he snapped, charging forward with a flurry of punches. Each strike landed, but his fists phased through the shadowy form as if it were smoke. The creature laughed, twisting its body unnaturally to avoid every counter. Then, with a sudden shift, it solidified, grabbing Vegeta by the wrist and hurling him into a nearby mountain. Rocks shattered as the Saiyan Prince cratered into the stone, his growl of frustration muffled by debris. Goku, no, the fused entity that was both Goku and the Omni-King, floated above the chaos, their radiant aura flickering erratically. The fusion was unstable, their minds struggling to synchronize. "We can't hold this form much longer," Goku's voice echoed, strained. The Omni-King's childlike laughter intertwined with his words, creating an eerie dissonance. "But we have to stop this thing." The shadow creature seemed to sense their weakness. It darted toward them, its body elongating like a spear aimed at their chest. At the last second, Whis intervened, his staff deflecting the attack with a resonating chime. "You're fighting blind," he chided. "This entity isn't just a physical being, it's a manifestation of the dimensional instability. You need to exploit the environment." Understanding flashed in Gohan's eyes. He turned to Piccolo. "The rifts, we can use them." Piccolo nodded, already forming a strategy. Together, they lured the creature toward one of the glowing rifts, their movements calculated. When the shadow lunged again, Gohan feinted left, baiting it into overextending. At the last moment, Piccolo unleashed a massive Makanko-Sappo, not to damage the creature, but to alter the rift's trajectory. The beam warped space, bending the tier like a funnel, and the shadow, caught mid-strike, was sucked into the vortex. A deafening screech filled the air as the creature fought against the pull, its form stretching like taffy. But the rift's gravity was too strong. With a final, distorted wail, it was consumed, the rift snapping shut behind it. Silence fell, broken only by the heavy breathing of the exhausted warriors. But the victory felt hollow. The rift still dotted the landscape, and the fused Goku Omni-King entity pulsed with unstable energy. "We bought time," Whis said solemnly, "but the multiverse is still unraveling." Vegeta hauled himself from the rubble, wiping blood from his lip. "Then we fix it," he growled. "Before there's nothing left to save." As the team regrouped, a new dread settled over them. The shadow had been a warning, a symptom of a far greater catastrophe. And somewhere in the fractured dimensions, something ancient and hungry stirred, awakened by their desperate fusion. The true battle was only beginning. Word count, 2000. The battlefield was a wasteland of shattered mountains and smoldering craters, the air thick with the acrid scent of burning energy. Goku stood panting, his muscles trembling from exhaustion, his gi torn and stained with dirt and blood. Across from him, the Omni-King hovered, his usual childlike demeanor replaced by an eerie, unreadable calm. The fusion had been unexpected, an accident born of desperation, and now the universe's most powerful being was something else entirely. Vegeta staggered to Goku's side, his breath ragged. "You idiot," he growled, but there was no real venom in it. "Of all the reckless stunts." "I didn't plan this," Goku admitted, wiping sweat from his brow. But we gotta deal with it. The Omni-King, no, Goku King tilted his head, his voice a dissonant blend of Goku's warmth and the Omni-King's unsettling monotone. This is interesting. I feel everything. He flexed his fingers, and the fabric of reality itself seemed to ripple. Whis and Beerus exchanged glances, their usual composure fractured by genuine fear. If he decides to erase us on a whim, Whis murmured, there will be no stopping him. Piccolo, Gohan, and the others regrouped, their faces grim. We're outmatched, Gohan said. Even together, we can't overpower him. Then we don't fight him head on, Bulma's voice crackled through a communicator. We need a plan, something smart. Vegeta scoffed. And what genius strategy do you propose? Bulma's reply was swift. We exploit the fusion's instability. The Omni-King has never experienced mortal emotions before, Goku's fighting spirit is overwhelming him. If we can disrupt their synchronization, even for a second, we might be able to force them apart. And how do we do that? Android 17 asked, his usual calm giving way to urgency. We hit him with everything at once, Goku said, a spark of determination in his eyes. No holding back. We make him feel everything, pain, confusion, doubt, until the fusion cracks. The team exchanged nods. It was a desperate gamble, but they had no other choice. The battle erupted in an instant. Goku and Vegeta lunged forward, their fists blazing with energy. Gohan and Piccolo flanked them, unleashing a barrage of ki blasts. Android 17 and 18 darted in, their speed unmatched, landing rapid strikes before darting away. Even Krillin and Tien joined the fray, their attacks smaller but precise, aimed at weak points. The Goku King barely flinched. With a flick of his wrist, he sent a shockwave rippling outward, hurling them all back. Goku gritted his teeth, forcing himself back up. Again, he roared. This time, they coordinated. Whis and Beerus, despite their reluctance to interfere directly, used their godly reflexes to predict the Goku King's movements, feeding instructions through telepathy. Left, now. Whis' voice echoed in their minds, and they adjusted mid-strike. Vegeta, seizing an opening, drove his fist into the Goku King's ribs, only to be backhanded into the ground. But the distraction was enough. Gohan charged, his Masenko blazing, forcing the fused being to raise a barrier. Now, Piccolo, Goku shouted. Piccolo's arms stretched unnaturally, wrapping around the Goku King's limbs in a desperate grapple. The fused entity snarled, his power flaring, but for a split second, he was immobilized. Everyone, now. Goku's voice was raw with effort. The team unleashed their strongest attacks in unison. Kamemiyas, final flashes, destructo discs, all collided in a cataclysmic explosion. The ground split apart, the sky burned, and for a terrifying moment, it seemed like the universe itself might shatter. When the smoke cleared, the Goku King stood, but his form flickered, his outline wavering. No. This is unacceptable, he muttered, his voice fracturing. It's working, Bulma cried. Keep pushing. But the Goku King wasn't done. With a roar, he unleashed a shockwave of pure destruction, sending them all sprawling. Goku coughed blood, his vision blurring. He could feel his energy fading, but so was the fusion's stability. Vegeta, battered but unbroken, staggered to his feet. One more time, he spat. For the universe. Goku forced a grin. Yeah. With their last reserves of strength, they lunged again. This time, they didn't hold back, didn't think. They fought with everything, their bodies moving on instinct, their attacks a chaotic storm of desperation. And then, a crack. A shudder. The Goku King's form split, light erupting from within. With a final, deafening roar, the fusion shattered. Goku collapsed, gasping. The Omni-King floated nearby, dazed but unharmed, his usual childlike expression returning. Oh. That was strange. The battlefield fell silent. They'd done it, but at what cost? As the dust settled, Whis let out a slow breath. This isn't over, he murmured. Something worse is coming. And in the void beyond, a pair of crimson eyes flickered open. Word count, 2000. The battlefield trembled as Goku and Omni-King Xeno stood fused, their combined aura radiating a power that defied comprehension. The sky split with crackling energy, and the very fabric of reality seemed to warp under their presence. Across the wasteland, the remaining warriors, Vegeta, Beerus, Whis, and the surviving Z fighters, stared in awe and terror. The enemy, a cosmic entity known as Oblivion, loomed before them, its form shifting between dimensions, a void that consumed all light. This ends now, Goku Xeno declared, their voice a harmony of mortal resolve and divine authority. Oblivion lunged, its tendrils of darkness lashing out like whips, each strike erasing space itself. Goku Xeno blurred into motion, dodging with impossible precision, countering with a godly Kamehameha that seared through the abyss. The beam collided with Oblivion's core, but the creature merely laughed, its form reassembling from the nothingness. "You cannot destroy what does not exist," it taunted. Vegeta, gritting his teeth, charged forward, his ultra-ego form flaring. "Then we'll make it exist," he roared, delivering a brutal Hakai blast that forced Oblivion to solidify momentarily. Taking the opening, Goku Xeno unleashed a flurry of punches, each strike infused with the power of creation and destruction. The air shattered with every impact, but Oblivion retaliated, its claws raking across Goku Xeno's chest, drawing golden ichor. Whis gasped, even a fused being of such magnitude could bleed. "We need more." Goku Xeno shouted, and Beerus, understanding, nodded. The god of destruction placed his hands on their back, channeling his full power into them. "Make it count," he growled before collapsing, drained. Empowered, Goku Xeno's aura exploded into a supernova of light. They clasped their hands together, summoning a technique beyond mortal or divine comprehension, the ultimate Dragon Fist. A colossal dragon of energy, woven from the threads of all 12 universes, erupted from their fists, its maw engulfing Oblivion. The entity screamed as its form unraveled, but it wasn't enough. "It's regenerating," Vegeta yelled. Goku Xeno's eyes narrowed. "Then we go deeper," they said, and with a final, desperate decision, they pulled Oblivion into their own body. The fusion's form convulsed, light and darkness warring within. "What are you doing?" Whis cried. "Sealing it." "With me," Goku Xeno strained. Their body began to crystallize, trapping Oblivion in an eternal stasis. "No. You'll be lost too," Vegeta shouted, but Goku Xeno smiled. "It's the only way." With a blinding flash, the fusion shattered into countless shards, scattering across the cosmos, a prison for Oblivion, and a sacrifice for all existence. Silence fell. The sky cleared, the wind stilled. Vegeta dropped to his knees, fists clenched. "You idiot," he muttered, but there was no anger left, only grief. Whis placed a hand on his shoulder. "They saved everything," he said softly. Beerus, stirring, looked at the remnants of the battle. Humph. Typical Saiyan show-off. But even his usual gruffness couldn't mask the respect in his eyes. As the survivors gathered, the world began to heal. The damage wrought by Oblivion reversed, lives restored. And somewhere, in the infinite cosmos, the shards of Goku Xeno glimmered, a silent guardian watching over the universe they had saved. The future was uncertain, but it was alive. And for now, that was enough. The story reached its end, not with a roar, but with a whisper, the quiet triumph of those who had given everything. The Z fighters stood together, gazing at the horizon, where the first light of a new dawn broke. The battle was over. The fight would go on.